Rohingya have been described as the Palestine of Asia due to having their human rights violated and being made stateless in their own lands and having to flee the country. But what is the history behind the Rohingya? Let's find out by going through the key years of history of the Rohingya struggles. In 1977, Myanmar, the country then known as Burma, launches Operation Dragon King Naga Min in Rakhine State. The Rohingya ethnic minority are considered illegal after being stripped of their citizenship, thus beginning a cycle of forced displacement. In 1977 to 1978, Operation Dragon King includes mass arrests, persecution and horrific violence, driving some 200,000 Rohingya across the border to Bangladesh. The neighbouring country opens refugee camps where MSF provides medical aid. But by 1979, most of the Rohingya are repatriated to Burma. Some 10,000 people die, the majority children, after food rations are cut. In 1989, after a military crackdown that follows the suppression of a popular uprising, Burma is renamed Myanmar. The ruling State Law and Order Restoration Council increases its military presence in northern Rakhine State, and the Rohingya are reportedly subject to compulsory labour, forced relocation, rape, summary executions and torture. Some 250,000 Rohingya flee to Bangladesh. In 1992, Rohingya refugees arrive in Bangladesh bringing only what they can carry. The governments of Bangladesh and Myanmar signed an agreement to repatriate refugees, and the camps are closed to new arrivals in the spring. By fall, forced repatriation begins despite protests by the international community. Over the following years, hundreds of thousands of Rohingya are sent back to Myanmar, and new refugees attempting the journey are denied entry into Bangladesh. Of the 20 camps that were built in Bangladesh in the early 90s, 2 remain: Nyapara camp near Teknaf and Kutalompong camp near Ukiah. Living conditions remain dire, and a study finds that 58% of children and 53% of adults are chronically malnourished. By 2006, some 79% of the shelters in the 2 remaining camps in Bangladesh are flooded during the rainy season. The substandard conditions contribute to cases of diarrhoea, respiratory infections and malnutrition. At the MSF Therapeutic Feeding Centre serving the makeshift camp near Teknaf, staff take care of an average of 40 severely malnourished children each day. There are only a small percentage of Rohingya seeking refuge in Bangladesh which are officially recognised as refugees. Unrecognised Rohingya refugees are vulnerable to harassment and exploitation. In 2017, Rohingya families arrive at the Bangladesh border from Myanmar, following Rohingya military attacks on several police and army posts in Myanmar. State security forces launch a campaign of horrific violence and terror targeting the Rohingya community. More than 530,000 Rohingya are driven out of Myanmar. The cycle of mass displacement begins again, this time on an unprecedented scale. Most of the recent arrivals have moved into makeshift settlements without adequate access to shelter, food, clean water or latrines. In 2018, an outbreak of diphtheria rages in the refugee camps in Cox's Bazar. Though diphtheria is covered by the most basic vaccine packages, the deadly childhood disease spreads quickly through the camps in Bangladesh, where most children have not been vaccinated. MSF treats most of the Rohingya sheltering in Bangladesh have suffered from or witnessed violence, lost family members or friends, or experienced persecution. Many say they like to go home but cannot until their safety is guaranteed. In 2019, Gambia takes Myanmar to the International Criminal Court of Justice on the 11th of November. The Gambia also submitted a request for the indication of provisional measures of protection for the Rohingya. The ICG held a public hearing on the request for 3 days, and the ICG ordered Myanmar to prevent genocidal acts against Rohingya Muslims under Aung San Suu Kyi's watch. 2 years after the exodus, more than 912,000 Rohingya in Bangladesh still live in the same basic bamboo structures as when they first arrived. They face travel and work restrictions and remain wholly reliant on humanitarian aid. In 2020, the UN Refugee Agency reported the first confirmed case of COVID-19 in the camps on May the 14th. Workers there faced a higher risk of contracting COVID-19 and have also come under threat for doing their jobs in trying to help Rohingya refugees within the camps. In 2021, many refugees also have gone to India, where there have been frequent fires at the camps in New Delhi. Rohingya refugees still call for justice and accountability. It is hoped that more can be done for Rohingyas in 2022.